Welcome, boys and girls, to the Barely Balanced Bedtime Theater, episode number 4. Tonight, we are diving back into the world of Barely Balanced with The Adventure Begins, a book that I wrote and was illustrated by Thomas Boatwright. Here we go, guys. Chapter 4. Get yourselves all tucked in, get that snuggie pulled up nice and tight, and cuddle in with whoever it is that's next to you. Maybe it's that snuggie. Ooh, here we go. I think I just leveled up. I need to do these episodes more often. Chapter 4. Small opened her father's battered blue backpack, pulled a yellow tunic from inside, and marched over to the dragon's cage. Violet isn't going to be happy to see you. If I have to keep you alive, then this magic material will help. I glanced at the flimsy fabric. How is that going to help? Does the dragon have an aversion to spring fashion? This, Small ignored my joke and proudly held up the tunic. Shed stains, is always wrinkle-free, and makes the wearer's body completely fire retardant. Which will keep me from being roasted by a dragon who's got her eye on me, Small wrinkled her nose and shoved me toward the workers' barracks. Exactly. But first, you need to clean that muck off. Also, you might be okay with your buttocks hanging out, but I'm gonna need some popcorn if I have to keep watching this peep show. I scuttled like a crab, keeping my backside facing away from her. Small didn't respond, but her lip did tug up slightly on one side, in what I hoped was the beginning of a grin. Oh yeah, I got game. It might be slow, awkward, and occasionally embarrassing, but it was game she'd fall for. Or trip over. Either way, I'd catch her. You'll find pants beside the wash bin, Small called after me with a little less venom in her tone. I sidestepped into the building, washed up, and snagged a pair of Miss Winkle's uniform pants. They had an inseam reinforced to the point that I could do splits while wearing underwear made of sandpaper. Though if I was wearing sandpaper undies, torn seams would be the least of my worries. When I stepped back into the cold night, Small was standing over her pack, holding the magic tunic and a pair of scissors. I only have one of these tunics. We'll have to share it. She gave the middle of the enchanted shirt's neck hole a snip, and then grabbing each side, ripped it in half. While doing this, she stared pointedly at me. Gulp. Next, she tied the yellow material around her waist like a sash and handed me the other half. Don't lose it. It'll still grant your body enough protection, but only while you're wearing it. And here we see a picture of her holding up the sparkling magic material that would become our trademark yellow sashes. How is this little thing supposed to protect me? I yanked the sash around my waist. The dragon's cage towered before us. There was no way that serpent would be stopped by anything less than 20 solid feet of this fabric. Though, for the moment, everything looked peaceful. Carefully trimmed crimson roses crept across the bars, filling the night with a sharp fragrance. Across the pen stood a single cave that drew the eye because of its absence of design or color. It was like a black dot in the center of a collage. I yanked the sash's knot tight and stepped forward. They call it a piece of flair for a reason. It looked like I'm wearing a wick. Small shrugged. I think it gives you an exotic charm. It does? I rolled back my shoulders and stared down at the smooth fabric. This was exactly the distraction Small had been waiting for. She snapped a key into the dragon's door, which gave a loud clack as it screeched open. Violet flowed from the dark cave like a flash flood of reptilian devastation. I screeched even louder than the door had. Unable to help myself, Small chuckled at my startled reaction. Finally, a laugh. Out in the open, Violet looked to be at least 40 feet from nose to tail. She unfurled her wings, and they stretched to double her length. Violet was no dainty little lady. She was a female brick house. I began to understand why Small was drawn to her. Small calmly walked across the pen, leaving me behind. Violet slithered over jagged stones and barreled her over. She was being crushed. "Don't worry, she's just playful." Small gave Violet a pat on the neck, and the great monster rumbled with pleasure. She was trying to crush her. She was trying to curl around Small's legs like a giant scaly lapdog. My knees trembled, not from fear of the dragon, but because the ground quivered under the weight of the reptile's booming deep purr. "So," I stepped slightly behind the cage's metal bars, "not that I'm scared or anything, but are you sure this is safe?" "Please." Small rolled her eyes. "Violet and I have been best friends since I was 6. I took a tentative step into the cage while mumbling to myself, "No big deal. She's a nice, cuddly, gentle, cold-blooded dragon." Violet's head spun to face me. Her pupils shortened to slits. "Crap." "Good girl." I couldn't have sounded lamer. Violet lunged forward with the speed of a nightmare on a moonless night. I tried to flip out of the way, but my injured ankle gave out. Instead, I fell to the ground with a scream. A thunderous cracking sound followed me as Violet's jaws crashed shut where I had just been standing. I crawled out of the cage faster than a baby with afterburners. The dragon inhaled, making my yellow sash flutter towards the monster's mouth. As I was yanked back into the cell, I clawed at the earth but couldn't stop my momentum. I flew a good 20 feet across the ground, and the wind just stopped. I was alive! A moment later, a torrent of blinding fire smacked me in the side, throwing me like a burning tumbleweed. Gravel ripped into my skin, but miraculously, the flames didn't melt my flesh or even cause a blister. Instead, the sash sparkled and my entire body glowed. In no way convinced that I wasn't ablaze, I slapped at my face and limbs. Slowly, I stumbled back to my feet, all the while giving Violet a weary gaze. Why did I have to be so delicious? "She does not play well with others." "Okay," Small giggled. "That time she did try to kill you. Sorry. I promised her she'd get one try." "You promised her what?" This girl was crazy. "No more trying to eat him," Small demanded, though she gave Violet's neck a cheerful pat. "He's our ticket out of here. Also, I'll make sure I give you heartburn," I cursed. Dang, I bet dragons love that. Violet let out a loud blast from her nostrils. Yep, she would love that. "Look, I'm sorry." I crossed my heart. I sure hope she understood me. "I wouldn't have attacked you if I didn't think you were trying to hurt Small. Wouldn't you try and protect her if you were in my shoes? You know, if they were dragon-sized?" Small continued to rub the reptile's neck. Violet chuffed, circled, and then begrudgingly lowered one wing like a ramp from my feet to her back. "Come on," Small said. "It's safe now." And here we see an image of Violet shooting fire at me and me in the air burning and rolling like a horrible burning tumbleweed. Now where were we? "Come on," Small said. "It's safe now." "Promise?" Playing up protecting me to Violet was smart. I smiled. It's good to know I can still read a crowd. I tightened the straps of my backpack, chewed my lip for a bravery-building handful of seconds, and sprinted as well as I could along the dragon's wing. This time, Violet stayed stock still. I don't think my ankle could have handled it if she didn't. Her scales were smooth beneath my feet, and they glistened like delicate crystal. They were the only thing about the dragon that was delicate. Her muscles were like small hills, and the spines on her back were large enough for Small to sit comfortably between them. I didn't stop running until I had positioned myself near the center of Violet's back, tucked behind one of her massive spikes. And away we go! Small gave a sharp whistle. I'd barely sat down. Violet plunged forward through the cell door, and I clung to the dragon's spine while clenching every muscle in my body. This included my tongue, which I had no idea was even possible. When Small eventually got around to kissing me, I am sure she would, I'll dazzle her with my tongue-flexing prowess. Violet's wings came out with a clap, beating the breeze into an angry tempest. Within 10 heartbeats, we'd shot 100 feet off the ground, and my stomach had dropped straight into my pelvis. "Isn't this wonderful?" Small howled. I dared not open my mouth, for fear of what would issue forth. I'd like there to be at least one bodily fluid I hadn't been covered in today. The ground spiraling swiftly beneath us. That would have been impossible to accomplish had I attempted to speak. Luckily, my tongue was flexing. As the zoo faded beneath us, far below, I could just barely see Biff, staring up at me with large, forlorn eyes. I'll admit it, I miss him. And to think, I complained about riding a unicorn. That's the end of chapter 4. Sleep tight. Don't let those bed bugs bite, because we have lots of torches, and we'll come get them. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.